Hello and welcome. It's another time for your power sector program, Power Wheel, brought to you by the Transmission Company of Nigeria, TCN. Lawmakers laud progress on Mambila hydropower projects, others. TCN signs Memorandum of Understanding with Ekiti State on transmission lines and substations projects. We are expanding our hydropower plants to meet rising transmission capacity, mainstream energy bus. Those are the headlines, and on the interview segment, Ali Bukar Ahmed, the Assistant General Manager, Regulations, Compliance and Market Development at the Market Operations Unit of the Transmission Company of Nigeria, speaks on the transition of the West African regional market and how Nigeria could be the biggest beneficiary of that. You're on to Power Wheel, and I am Chinwenwa Anyao. The House of Representatives has commended the progress on the kickstarting of the Mambila hydropower project in Taraba State and other power sector achievements under the current leadership of the Federal Ministry of Power.
The Chairman House Committee on Power, Honorable Magajidao Aliu, gave the commendation during the committee's oversight visit to the ministry's headquarters at the Power House in Abuja.
On behalf of my colleagues here present, the House Committee on Power and the entire House of Representatives, I bring to you warm greetings from the National Assembly of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. I wish to use this medium to commend the untiring effort of your ministry in championing anticipated power sector revolution in Nigeria. Indeed, the unbundling and privatization of companies under the power remains an indicator that the government wishes to do things in accordance with the universal best practices.
The House Committee helmsman noted that for over 40 years, Mambila hydropower project had existed only on papers, and that there was nothing on ground to show that the project had commenced before the coming of the current administration.
The committee wishes also to appreciate the effort of Mr. President Muhammad Buhari, for the approval of funds and other activities geared toward kickstarting the Mambila power project. This is also an indication of government display of political will in providing adequate and steady power supply to Nigerians that has been elusive.
The Minister of Power, Engineer Salim Mamman, while thanking the lawmakers for the visit, described the power sector as very critical to the development of the nation. As such, needs attention and support from members of the National Assembly and the government.
This sector is one of the critical sectors that need to focus attention, provide all the necessary assistance that we may need from the government, both with the legislation.
Speaking on some key successes recorded so far, the minister said the ministry had initiated policies and strategies to promote efficient and sustainable development on reliable power supply in the country.
The new policy and the regulation are meeting grids. Eligible customers meter access provided already have been implemented by the NAC. Also to tell you about the franchises that are still ongoing, public consultations, the new policy of willing buyer, willing seller, the arrangement declared by the Honorable Minister in December 2019, which is the recent policy formulated by the Ministry, will now brief you on where we stop, where we are going to. And also the new ongoing projects, some that are about to start, some that are ongoing.
Mama also listed inadequate budgetary provisions and untimely release of budgetary funds as some of the challenges facing the ministry, and sought for the support of the National Assembly for adequate budgetary provision and realignment of all agencies critical to the power sector for effective synergy and supervision. The Chairman, Project Delivery Committee on the Mambila Hydropower Project, and Director Renewable and Rural Power Access Department in the ministry, Farouk Yusuf Yabo, who briefed the committee on the acquisition of the right-of-way for the project, revealed that there was no legal title for the land before now.
Everybody knows where Mambila is, so everybody knows there is a Mambila site. But the issue is that we do not have the legal titles to the land. Yes, the legal title to the land until now.
The Transmission Company of Nigeria, TCN, has signed a memorandum of understanding with the government of Ekiti State on the construction of power transmission lines and 2 transmission substation projects in the state.
The project consists of a 132-33 kilovolt power transmission line running from Ado-Ekiti to Ilekpeju and from Ado-Ekiti to Ijesha-Ishu. There is also the associated 2x60 MVA 132-33 kV substations to be built at Ilekpeju and Ijesha-Ishu within the states. With the MOU, the state government will provide the right-of-way to enable TCN deliver the projects. The state governor, Dr. Kayode Fayemi, represented by his deputy, Otumba Bisi Igbeyemi, expressed delight that the MOU will result in new transmission lines as well as 2 new substations that would help ameliorate the poor electricity supply situation in the state.
I am therefore delighted to be part of the epoch-making event where the state, like other neighboring states, will be boasting of another transmission station since the creation of the state in 1996. It is gratifying that the memorandum of understanding is coming up at a time when the state is continuously experiencing load shedding from its different sources of electricity to the state.
The governor also urged TCN to look at the place of Ekiti State in its network with a view to improving TCN's presence and boosting bulk supply to the state to enable the government achieve its 5 cardinal program for its citizens.
Let me reassure the stakeholders that the step taken by the government is meant to showcase the good intention of the government to cooperate, partner, and woo investors. We will expect from our partner the fulfillment of their commitment to the memorandum and display greater strength of professionalism in handling the affairs that affect the state. It is our hope that more benefit will still be derived by both parties in the memorandum. It is also expected that issue of electricity supply in the Ekiti State will be topmost priority in the agenda of your organization.
While welcoming the TCN team to Ekiti State, the Commissioner for Public Utilities, Honorable Dele Fagbanusi, said the MOU signifies physical attempt to reduce the perpetual low power voltage and positively impacts economic activities in the lives of the people.
At the moment, one of the excuses for not delivering efficient services by the distribution company, BDC, who has been saddled with the responsibility of electricity supply to us in the state, is due to low power evacuation from TCN network. Among the 3 states being covered by BDC, Ekiti State happened to receive the least power allocation of between 16 and 20 megawatt. This translates to 6 to 12 hours of daily power availability. In area not, some areas are not even connected at all. The consumer base of BDC in the state is approximately 82,300 customers, covering 134 communities in 16 local government areas.
Speaking on behalf of the Managing Director and CEO of TCN, Mr. Yuji Mohammed, the Air Transmission Service Provider TSP at TCN, Engineer Victor Adewumi, acknowledged that the singular 132 kV transmission substation in the state was grossly inadequate.
I want to tell you that this is one of the very few and the rare occasions where TCN will be implementing 2 substation projects in one state at the same time. Even though the 20 megawatts allocated to Ekiti, we know it's not enough. But anytime Akure overshoot their own, limit, it touches the entire people of Ekiti state. And again, because it's only one line that is supplying the entire complex, anytime we have problem on that line, the whole of Ekiti suffers a blackout.
TCN wants to kickstart the 132 kV double-cycled lines and the 2 substations projects at Ilekpeju and Ijesha-Ishu simultaneously. On completion of the projects, the voltage profile of electricity in the state will normalize.
As of now, the law of Nigeria rested the ownership of land on the shoulders of the governor. So that is why today we want to collaborate with Ekiti State to see how Ekiti can help us sort out the issues of right of way.
More of the headlines after this break.
Verify that land before you buy it. To drastically reduce the incidence of building under the transmission right-of-way or encroaching on designated TCN land, members of the public are hereby requested to verify land near or along transmission line route before purchasing it. Verification should be made in the Land Development Authority or at the TCN office. This would help in drastically reducing the incidence of building under transmission line right-of-way and save us all the problem of pulling down the structure or truncating transmission line expansion projects in your community due to court injunction. Help us serve you better. Verify that land before you buy it.
The Managing Director of Mainstream Energy Solutions Limited and the concessionaire of Kainji and Jeba hydropower plants, Engineer Lamu Audu, says the company is expanding the plant's capacity to meet up with investments in the transmission section of the power sector value chain.
Engineer Audu dropped this hint shortly after his firm signed an agreement in Abuja with Andres Hydro, a foreign firm contracted to rehabilitate Unit 2G6 power turbine at the Jeba plant. The Transmission Company of Nigeria, TCN, targets 20,000 megawatts wheeling capacity by 2022, and MESL aspires to be the largest power producer in the national grid.
Interestingly, as we are working, we are also watching the other value chain. Now, we all know that the power sector has 3 value chains: generation, transmission, and distribution. Fortunately for us, the Transmission Company of Nigeria are putting a robust recovery plan also. They have their, I think, 25 years master plan for the expansion and rehabilitation of the transmission system in Nigeria. So we are watching that and working with them so that as we recover more power, we make sure that power can be evacuated to Nigeria. So we are not just recovering power for the sake of recovery. We are recovering power for the benefit of Nigerian consumers through the transmission system that is being put in place.
Earlier, during the contract signing, the Mainstream Energy boss said since taking over the operations of the plant in 2013, the firm has recovered 462 megawatts energy that lifted the plant's capacity to 922 megawatts. The Jeba Unit 2G6 is a 96.4 megawatts capacity turbine, which was gutted by fire in 2009 before the power sector privatization. It will be rehabilitated within 2 years and delivered in the first quarter of 2022.
In 2017, we signed a contract for the rehabilitation of Unit 1G7 at Kainji, which is of 80 megawatt capacity. which will be commissioned in the fourth quarter of this year, 2020. The rehabilitation of Jeba Hado plants units 2G6, for which we are here to sign the contract today with an additional capacity of 96.4 megawatt, is therefore a giant leap in our capacity recovery program, as this will further increase our total capacity to 1,098.4 megawatt at completion.
ECOWAS member states are charting a common course on tackling energy poverty in the region. The drive for the regional electricity market was launched in 2018. In this interview, Ali Bukar Ahmed, the Assistant General Manager, Regulations, Compliance and Market Development at the Market Operations Unit of the Transmission Company of Nigeria, speaks on the transition of this regional market and how Nigeria could be the biggest beneficiary of it. TCN is an active player in the ECOWAS Regional Electricity Regulatory Authority, ERERA. Why did ECOWAS institute this agency?
In 2009, there was a decision taken by ECOWAS to create WAP, West African Powerful. So the main mandate of West African Powerful is to promote and develop generation and transmission infrastructures within the region, and then to coordinate the connection and integration of all the local transmission and generation stations into one complex network. So after the creation of ECOWAS, of WAP, it means we are set for a larger cross-border electric trade. And then you cannot actually do cross-border trade or electricity business without regulating it. So the ECOWAS member states also created in 2008 ERERA. ERERA means ECOWAS Regional Electricity Regulatory Authority. And the mandate of ECOWAS Regional Electricity Regulatory Authority is to regulate the cross-border electric trade, to train local. When I said local, means the individual state regulators like Nigeria Electricity Regulatory Commission, and if you have one in Ghana, and all other nation states within the South region, and also to draft ruling documents like market rules, like market procedures, dispute resolution, and to constitute committees that will have ERERA to govern the regional market.
The West African electricity market was launched in 2018. What is the market's impact on electricity demand in the region?
It has made a lot of impact. Before the launching of the regional market, all the cross-border trade within West Africa are based on regional solidarity. As I said, there is no rules governing that. But with the coming of the market is divided into three phases. Phase one is the establishment, proper establishment of ERERA, ECOWAS Regional Regulatory Commission. Then you have the draft of the market rules, the market procedures, the business dispute resolution, and then you have the bilateral agreement forms and procedures to sign, and we have all done that. It is expected that all the grandfathered agreement, means the agreement that have been existing before the launching of the regional market, should be transformed to regional bilateral agreement in accordance with ERERA. So, and that has been taken place. You have now transformed the agreement between Nigeria and Niger into a bilateral agreement. Nigeria and Benin Republic, and Nigeria, Benin Republic, and Togo into a bilateral agreement. And it has taken shape. The investors, the donor agencies are taking us very seriously now, because if everything is being monopolized by the government, it means there will be no progress. They cannot invest their money.
All these require a robust transmission system. What is the present Managing Director of TCN and Chairman Executive Board of the West African Power Pool, Mr. UG Mohammed, doing about this?
With the present administration, we don't have a problem. We're doing everything possible to see that out, because the key to regional transmission, regional cross-border trade is a transmission station. If you can generate 100,000 megawatt, if your transmission network is not robust, you cannot do anything about it. You cannot export. So, and he has realized that, the MD has realized that, and is doing it. It's not limited to Nigeria. He made sure that even in other, because in the third phase of the electricity market, you have to do even day-ahead market. I mean, you can ask for electricity for just 1 hour. You can ask electricity today and you tell my supplier I need that tomorrow. And they will the transit will be taken care of. You may be in Ghana and you may be buying electricity from one of the generators in Nigeria. In between Nigeria and Ghana, you have Benin, you have Togo. So the transit too is a problem. So if the transmission between Benin, Togo and Ghana is not robust as Nigerian network, then there will be a problem. Then we will be transporting or transmitting in vain because of the transit portion of it, because it's not going to be used in these two countries. What you injected in the system is going to be now consumed in Ghana. And in between, you have two transmission stations that are not robust. So what the MD has been doing is to make sure that any network that is identified for the transmission or now isolated for regional cross-border trade must be robust, must meet all standards in his capacity as the chairman of WAP.
That was an informative interview session on the impact of the West African regional electricity markets for member countries. Join us next week for another exciting interview segment of this program, Power Wheel. It's time now for the soundbite segment of this package.
This type of reconducting we want to do here, we see us replacing the normal aluminum conductor steel reinforced with this high capacity gap conductor. This project, when completed, will allow Ikeja Disco to offtake the full capacity of all the transformers along the substations to be supplied by the line.
That is it on this edition of Power Wheel. Do join us next week for another refreshing edition. This episode and the previous ones are available on our YouTube channel. And don't forget, you can interact with us on these other platforms as we strive to serve you better. I am Chinwenwa Anyao. Enjoy the rest of your day.